And you can see that I've matched the color fairly carefully here so that there isn't a noticeable mark. The next thing I need to do is mark my pages in 4 centimeter increments so I know where my folds are going to go. And I'm going to do this using a pin rather than using a pencil. And it's because my folds are going to end on the pin pricks, so they aren't going to show the way that a pencil mark would. And here you can see I'm measuring from the printed edge, not from the edge of the paper. Because this part's going to be folded under. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just make my folds. If my paper is square, I don't need to make 2 pin pricks on every side. I'm just going to make sure that all my folds line up at the top of the paper. So making sure that my fold ends right on the pin prick. It's a good idea to practice with your paper before you finalize your design, just to make sure that your measurements are correct and that the folds occur where you want them to. For some people, this is going to be more important than for others. For mine, I've simply made a continuous design. But if you have a design where there are individual pages, you have to be very precise about your measurements. And here I'll make one last fold to create that tab. And now I'll fold my second set of pages. Okay. Now, I need to make a connection here. As I'm putting my glue on, I want to make certain that I'm not getting any glue on my image. So I'm going to use some scrap paper. I'm going to put one sheet underneath. And I'm going to put one sheet on top and adjust it so that only the part of the paper where I want there to be glue is sticking out. Now, these brown paper scraps have glue on them, so I'm going to get rid of those to keep my work area clean. And then I'll just line these up. There we go. Now, oops, some of my folds are going the wrong way, so I'll just refold this. And there is the inside of my book. You want to make sure that you end up with the backs of the pages facing outwards. If you have an uneven number of pages, it won't work out properly. So just make sure that you do a test ahead of time to make sure that all your pages are as you want them. Now I'm going to attach the pages to the cover. Once again, I want to make sure that I'm not getting any glue on the pages inside the book that would make them burn. And I'm going to insert one piece in this fold and then another piece in the fold above. Okay? So just to help you visualize that, again, imagine that this is a Z or an N. We're going to put one piece of paper in the first fold, one piece of paper in the second fold. That means that most of my book is underneath, and only the back page of the paper where I want glue is showing. As always, to keep my workspace clean, I'm getting rid of my scrap paper. And now I'm going to position my pages onto the cover. Now, I want to make sure that my cover's facing the same direction as my pages, so they're right side up. And I'm just going to center that by eye. And what you're aiming for is to have the border of the cover showing equally on all sides of the pages. I'm going to open that up and just make sure it's centered. Oops. And burnish it slightly to get rid of any air bubbles. Make sure it's sticking well. Now I'm going to glue on my other cover, the same way we did the first time, imagining that as a Z or an N. Put one paper in the first fold, one in the second fold. My book is on the back, so I'm not going to get glue on anything accidentally, and only the back page where I'm putting the glue is exposed. These have glue on them. I'm going to get rid of them. And this time, I'm going to center my cover onto the cover that I've put on first. Open that up. Oops, and just make sure that inside is centered properly. The glue is fairly forgiving. If you're slightly off center, you can just slide it into place. Double check that everything's lined up. And there's our accordion fold book. Oops. Sometimes the glue has a tendency to warp the covers. So for the first day or so after you've made your books, it's a good idea to place them underneath something that's fairly heavy. So I would just put some paper on top of this and put a couple of textbooks on top, just to hold everything in place until it's dry.